All of you probably know by now, they finally caught the dastardly diddler. P. Diddy has been arrested, and I imagine that scene looks straight out of Batman Arkham Asylum when they have like Joker strapped to that thing walking him through the insane asylum. This guy is a menace that terrorized the entire music industry for decades. I've gone over his lore a lot, so I'm not just going to regurgitate all of that. There's a lot of new things I want to talk about that's been happening as a result of him being arrested. The first thing that happened almost immediately is they put him under suicide watch. It was like a speed run to get him there. I don't know if that's standard protocol or if they found something that made them believe he might hurt himself, like he was smuggling razor blades in his butthole, or maybe they were worried that without baby oil he'd just take his own life because he doesn't know how to live without baby oil. I really couldn't tell you. Maybe this is just textbook procedure. That's what they're saying it is, calling it procedural suicide watch for high-profile clients, but I've only seen this once before in a case like this, and it was Epstein. And in his case, it was more like suicide don't watch, because it didn't really do much. Very suspicious, but we're not here to talk about that. Point is, though, this happened immediately upon him being taken into custody for the most part, like within a couple of days. And since his arrest, tons of clips and videos and information about who associated with P. Diddy has been coming out. And it's a lot of big celebrities. P. Diddy was a very well-connected person. There were huge names at his freak-off events. There's a lot of people that absolutely knew what P. Diddy was doing. And there's going to most likely be a lot of big celebrities that get implicated in some heinous shit in their connection with Diddy. One person right now that a lot of people are having their eyes on is Usher. I mentioned Usher as well when talking about P. Diddy being arrested, and it's because Usher has gone on record talking about his time at Puffy Flavor Camp, which again, I think is the most on-the-nose shit ever. Like, that just sounds like an evil diddler organization. Puffy fucking Flavor Camp. So anyway, when Usher was a kid in the 90s, he lived with P. Diddy for a year at this Puffy Flavor Camp, and he went on Howard Stern's show and talked a little bit about his experience, kind of vaguely, but mentioned multiple times that there were things going on that he just couldn't understand, and probably shouldn't have been experiencing. When asked if he would send his kid to a Puffy Flavor Camp, he said, hell no. This is someone who lived through the evilness of P. Diddy, and did nothing to prevent it from happening to others, like Justin Bieber, another Puffy Flavor Camp veteran. A lot of Bieber clips have surfaced from when he was a kid in Hollywood, and it is fucking foul. Not just in relation to P. Diddy, but in general, the way Hollywood, like, openly sexualized him as a kid is absurd. Like, that shit is crazy. Anyway, though, back to Usher. He's never spoken out against Diddy or anything, whether that's out of fear or maybe he really thinks that what happened to him is just the norm in Hollywood because P. Diddy was so connected and so many artists went through him and were put through horrible shit with P. Diddy because they were convinced that they had to go through that in order to be successful in the industry because P. Diddy told them that and people told them that. P. Diddy would be like the kingmaker. So you'd have to be fucking waterboarded by baby oil and all kinds of like depraved shit for P. Diddy in order to be successful. Otherwise, he might ruin your career before it even starts. He was the boogeyman of the industry. So whether Usher is afraid of what P. Diddy might have on him or if he doesn't view what happened to him as like a bad thing, I have no way of knowing why, but he's never spoken out against Diddy, which has made a lot of people really suspicious of Usher. And then yesterday, he deleted all of his tweets. He then put out a quick statement saying, account got hacked and damn y'all ran with it, crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. See you tonight. I mean, I don't think there's anyone on the planet that believes that. You'd have to get up pretty early in the morning to try and pull this fast one on someone. Like, who in the world would take that hook, line, and sinker? You're telling me a hacker went on your Twitter and the only thing they did was secretly delete all of your tweets? Who was the hacker? Your PR manager? What? Usually when an account gets hacked on Twitter, two things happen. Either it starts spamming slurs and like unhinged tweets, or it starts promoting crypto scams. Why would someone hack him just to scrub his Twitter from potentially damaging tweets that might be used as evidence potentially? Like, the timing of that makes no sense. That must be like the most helpful hacker of all time. Who hacked this guy? Captain America trying to protect him or something? Like, what? I can confidently say that's a load of baloney right there. That is some dirty barnacles. Usher did not get hacked. But maybe there's a chance he himself didn't go through and delete them. He might have had one of his managers do it. Like, that's possible, I guess. But either way, it doesn't matter. It was a conscious decision to go through and scrub his Twitter. It had to be. That's the only thing that makes sense. Diddy gets arrested, and then a few days later, his whole Twitter account is scrubbed, and he had a very close relationship with Diddy. I mean, that's super suspicious. And then to try and claim that it was a hacker who did it secretly, like, what? It just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Now, there was another celebrity who also scrubbed her Twitter, and it's Pink. I saw her name floating around in regards to, like, scrubbed Twitters as well, where people were claiming Pink had just scrubbed all of her tweets as well because of Diddy's arrest. So I looked into that because I never heard about Pink and Diddy being close or anything, but I also wasn't the most tapped into Hollywood and the music industry connections. And what I learned is that Pink didn't just scrub her Twitter in light of Diddy's arrest. She actually deleted all of her tweets back in February. So 7 months ago she did that as a way of just stepping away from social media because she said she didn't enjoy it. So it doesn't sound like it has anything to do with Diddy. And from everything I've looked at, she's never, like, been publicly around Diddy. Like, it doesn't seem like they're friends or anything. I can't find anything of her talking positively about it or attending one of his freak-off events or anything. You know, I don't see any connection like that, so I don't think she deleted her tweets because of P. Diddy. I do believe Usher did, though. I don't think it's some kind of coincidence that his Twitter account gets mysteriously hacked and he has all of his tweets deleted after P. Diddy's arrest and after the public becomes really well aware of how many people P. Diddy was close with. That just, something smells a little fishy there. So I think this is just the beginning of celebrities and P. Diddy, like, putting the spotlight on the awful shit that they were all privy to. Like I said, P. Diddy is a very well-connected person for decades. Apparently, he was also a big enthusiast of filming some things at these events and would use some of it as, like, dirt on people that attended them, and that'd be another way he'd use to keep people's mouths shut about some of the stuff that would happen there. But I do think that the tapes will probably get confiscated at some point, and I think that information will probably lead to a lot of celebrities getting into some big hot water. Now, there is a celebrity that I haven't mentioned yet that has been in the spotlight a little bit as a result of P. Diddy being arrested, and it's Kevin Hart. So, Kevin Hart is in a P. Diddy video. At one of the freak-off events, Kevin Hart is there. And people are claiming that after P. Diddy got arrested, Kevin Hart closed all of his restaurants. Kevin Hart has a fast food chain called Hart House, and they are claiming that he shut down all of those restaurants as a result of P. Diddy being arrested, trying to, like, get ahead of it. But from what I can see, he actually closed down those restaurants a week before P. Diddy got arrested, so that might not be the reason for it, but it also could be, because I think everyone knew this day was coming with P. Diddy getting arrested, because so much evidence has been coming to light so quickly. So there is still that chance, but I do think it's more likely Kevin Hart shut them down for other reasons outside of that, and that Kevin Hart is probably still guilty of some horrible shit at these P. Diddy events, but I don't know if that was the reason behind closing down the restaurants. Again, though, I do think there's going to be a lot of information that comes out about a lot of celebrities as a result of P. Diddy's arrest. So, just wanted to give a little update here because there's a lot happening quickly when it comes to P. Diddy and this arrest, so that's about it. See ya. I'm following the Diddy case very closely. I think this is a super serious one that's up there with, like, the same level of Epstein almost. And in following the case so closely, where I have peepers on it at all times, I'm also following his lawyer pretty closely. So I've watched every interview that his lawyer has done. Good old Mark, a real patriot. The majority of what Mark says is just boilerplate standard lawyer lie speak, just a bunch of babble where, when confronted with questions, just basically deflects it or reshapes it. So if he's confronted with a question about the case, he will do his best to steer it differently. So in one interview, someone asked him point blank what he thinks about the video that shows Diddy beating the shit out of a woman. And he says, yeah, that's bad. He basically just says, like, it's not good, you know, beating women, boo, I'm not a fan of that. But we have to remember, he's not being indicted for beating women. Wow, Mark. Checkmate. Right you are. We do need to keep that in mind. Surely this video evidence of P. Diddy beating the shit out of Cassie has nothing to do with anything else. You've nailed it there, Phoenix Wright. You're a real shining star, Mark. And that's kind of what he does. He'll take things, be like, oh yeah, no, beating women, not good. But that is not what he's indicted for. In fact, they're coming after him for sex trafficking. Can you believe it? What nonsense. It's ridiculous, and we're gonna prove it in court. We'll give him the razzle-dazzle, a little bit of that slam jam, thank you ma'am, and prove that P. Diddy is an innocent man. It's a bunch of fucking nothing, a giant nothing burger with the way Mark talks about it. I know he knows that P. Diddy is guilty, but he's about to get a fat paycheck for it. So there's not a whole lot I want to talk about when it comes to Mark's interviews or statements, but there are 2 interviews I want to show you and really talk about because they are beautiful. So Mark's been getting asked a lot about the baby oil. Mark has to defend so many awful, fucking heinous, and downright weird things for his client, and he has to defend all of them, mind you, which includes the fucking baby oil, and the way that he tries to defend it is so silly. He is a fucking amazing clown. So if, like, this whole lawyer thing doesn't work out for him, or if he wants to retire and just, like, do something on the side, this dude absolutely needs to get into, like, honking his nose professionally, because this shit is great.
They call them freak-offs. But, you know, back when I was a kid in the late 70s, they were called threesomes.
If these are genuinely threesomes, how do you explain 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
The U.S. attorney said it.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, you know.
There's already so much to unpack there. He is trying, with a straight face, to say that the freak-off parties are just threesomes. Brother, open your eyes. There are videos from some of the freak-offs, and it's a lot different than what you're trying to paint it as here. That is just so disingenuous and delusional. I get that it's his job, but man, don't insult the intelligence of every human being on the planet. It's just one Google search away. You can see. It's not just threesomes, and Goober here is trying to pull the wool over your eyes by trying to convince you that it's just threesomes. Back in my day, we used to call that a threesome. Now all of a sudden it's a freak-off or some shit. Like, what are you talking about? It's so dumb. But anyway, to the baby oil. He immediately tries to downplay it like, oh, it wasn't 1,000. Where'd that made-up number come from? That's a fucking fake news fib right there. And the interviewer's like, no, that came from the attorney. Like, no, that's the official statement. He's like, no, they must be lying. Surely they're lying about that.
And I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean, he has a big house. He buys in bulk. You know, I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home.
You can see the cogs in his brain turning in real time as he starts to come to the realization that there is no way to try and justify or explain away 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That quantity is absurd, unfathomable even. And he starts to like break it down, and he starts to go like and argue against his client, like 1,000 bottles of baby oil? That just doesn't make any sense. Who would possibly need that amount of baby oil? Do you know how much mileage you can get out of a single bottle? The best he could come up with is saying that since his houses are close to Costco, he's probably just buying it in bulk. I decided to look it up, just out of curiosity, what the biggest bundle of baby oil you could even buy in bulk is, and the biggest pack that I could find was 5. A 5-pack of baby oil. He would need 200 packs of that. Just picture that for a moment. Imagine stacking 200 packs of baby oil, 5 packs. If you stack them on top of each other, from bottom to top, it'll probably be about as high as a small office building. Like, that is crazy. And you're going to sit there in front of God and anime and try and make the claim that the freak-offs are just threesomes and the 1,000 bottles of baby oil is unrelated somehow or used for threesomes. Like, Mark, please, brother, oh my God.
I mean, have you sat in a parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
Not 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was. Let's just say it's a lot. okay?
No, that's not okay, Mark. Why don't we use the actual U.S. Attorney's report on how much baby oil they confiscated from his property? You can't just wipe your ass and throw that number away because it makes your client look like an even bigger psychopath. You can't do that, Mark.
I've been with him since 8 o'clock this morning, and it's about almost 3 o'clock now. He's just laser focused. He's engaged. He's helpful. He's confident. You know, we're going through our defense as we do every day, and his spirits are relatively good.
Hey, Mark, I just want to say that information does not make me happy. I don't want to hear that P. Diddy is in good spirits. He shouldn't be. That guy is an absolute fiend. He's a villain. He is evil. I don't want to hear that he's in good spirits or having a positive outlook on things. I want to hear that he's fucking miserable, because that's what he deserves for what he's done for the last few fucking decades that he has been terrorizing the entire music industry and ruining lives. So, Mark, your reporting right there actually put a frown on my face. You know that? I want you to know that.
How do you explain the baby oil and the lubricants? 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was a lot. I mean, there's a Costco right down the street. You know, I think Americans buy in bulk, as we know. And you know, this is consensual adults doing what consensual adults do. You know, we can't get so puritanical in this country to think that somehow sex is a bad thing, because if it was, there'd be no more people.
He's really sticking to the Costco theory here. Just sit outside of Costco and look what people come out with. It's crazy stuff. I'm sure he's not the only person to walk out of Costco with 1,000 bottles of baby oil. That's definitely the normal thing that happens. And then he tries to put a spin on it that it was consensual adults engaging in sexual activities. Mark, one of the big things about the freak-offs is the non-consensual nature of some of the shit that P. Diddy would force the guests to do. It's like a crucial component of this. And I understand, like, he can't go out there and say anything like that, but the evidence is overwhelming. So I just don't, I hate hearing lawyers speak about a case in a situation like this where the client they're defending is clearly guilty, because then you can just see the lies spilling out of their mouth, and it's just an awful thing to even just look at. But he then does try and put like that last little bow on it by saying like, oh, we can't be like this. We can't be all yucky about hearing about sex. It's important. Imagine if there wasn't sex, there'd be no more people. Whoa. Galaxy brain, Mark. Wow. I see why they pay you the big bucks. But yeah, I just wanted to show you these two interviews here because I love seeing Mark squirm when it comes to the baby oil statement and the baby oil line of questioning. It's really just so good to watch Mark try and tackle it. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. That advertisement next to this article is crazy. Why do gynecologists recommend this 100% leak-proof underwear to my ma'am? Hey, to USA Today's credit, at least this isn't completely inundated with ads. There's only 4 here that I can see. Usually it's like 7 or 8. Yep, so what came out last night in the P. Diddy case is a lawyer from the Busby law firm has come forward stating that he received thousands of calls over the last 10 days, and they have verified 120 of the victims as legitimate victims, including 25 who were minors. So they have now filed a pending civil lawsuits for it, and he gave a little conference going over kind of like the gist of it. Here, this is a good like summation.
Sex trafficking lawyer Tony Busby made the revelation today.
The claims we intend to bring will include the following: violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment.
So he's going through like an entire like platinum trophy list worth of allegations and crimes that Diddy is accused of doing with 120 new victims. So it's a lot, obviously. It's a huge fucking chunk, which I don't think anyone's surprised by given the scope of Diddy and the Diddy parties and all of that. But now these are being filed. They're separate from the indictment, so this is different than what Diddy is currently in jail for. And he, the lawyer, is claiming that some of the names, like accomplices, people that engaged with it, people that knew about it and did nothing, are names that will shock people. Why did Nicolas Cage's son accusing him of hitting come up? Why, that's not, what?
Investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know
What is this countdown?
this behavior occur.
Really? That's fascinating. I hate using the internet without an ad block on. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway, though, he goes on to say that it's more than just, like, the people that engaged and people that were, like, complicit and everything. And they have, like, evidence to back it up, this and that. And I can tell you, Kevin Hart is fucking sweating. He has been videoed at a Diddy party, and I bet right now he is panicking. That dude's gonna try and book, like, 1,000 rolls ASAP before it all comes crumbling down with Diddy here, I bet. But I was wondering, what names would really shock me? I just feel like everyone in Hollywood is just fundamentally evil, save for some rare exceptions. I don't think anyone that'll be named in this, if they're confirmed to be like a Diddy associate that like engaged with all of this degenerate, awful, illegal shit, I don't think there's any names there that would surprise me. Like maybe Bill Nye would surprise me. Or like Humphrey Bogart, because he's dead. Like that would be crazy if Humphrey Bogart is in the middle of all this. But aside from that, like, I don't know who else would really surprise me. Maybe, like, Wumpus from Discord would be another one that'd be pretty shocking. Keanu. Oh, Keanu Reeves would be a very shocking one. But I'm so confident he wouldn't be involved here that it's not even a thought that crosses my mind. Like, he doesn't engage with any Hollywood zombies or anything, really. Brendan Fraser. That's another person, though, that also just doesn't really engage with a lot of people in Hollywood. He was even ostracized from Hollywood for a little while. So I just don't think he'd be involved in it either. But those would be shocking. You were right, yeah. Those were so shocking, my voice just cracked. Who would be your number one pick? Like, who do I think is for sure going to be involved in all of this? If they ever release the Diddy list? I think, obvious one, Kevin Hart. He's already been on video at a Diddy party. I think, for sure,
Sexual abuse of minors.
Busby says the victims include both men and women, and he says some of them were minors.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old.
Jesus
We have
Christ.
one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
And he says there's evidence to prove it.
You should know that more than 55% of the victims filed reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals.
Diddy is being held without.
So, we're going to see how this unfolds here, but he also mentioned in the conference they received 3,000 calls, and of the 3,000 calls, they verified, like they did their due diligence, according to him, verified 120 of them as like legitimate victims, and claims that they have a lot of evidence to support it. So it seems like there's quite a lot of weight to that. Like it doesn't seem like just people trying to capitalize off Diddy for a payday. What it really seems like is now that this case has blown up, like the lid's been blown wide open, cat's out of the bag, everyone who has been a victim for so many decades is starting to come forward with their own accounts. Kind of like the March of the Treants against Isengard. So now they're all coming out, they're all talking about what happened, and apparently a lot of it's being verified. So, could be a pretty big deal. Do you think Bieber will talk? I think so. I think Justin Bieber is another, like, big victim in all of this. I think he'll probably come forward. I don't have a crystal ball or anything to predict it, but I just feel like Hollywood did Bieber so dirty, like openly sexualizing him as a child and all of that. Like I feel like he's probably going to speak about it. Why are people saying DiCaprio? I don't know. Is DiCaprio a good friend of Diddy's? Or is he like a victim? I don't know about the DiCaprio connection to it all. I love this. Look at all these wonderful ads I get in my article. My article's somewhere in here, I'm sure. Just gotta find it. Reports suggest, including Diddy himself, required IV drips. Yeah, this is all what we've known about it for a while, but where is Leo? Here we go. The last occasion they were photographed together was in 2019 when Leo, 49, attended Diddy's 50th birthday celebration. That's crazy. I clicked this link expecting it to have the photograph. What it did is it just linked me back to the same article I was reading to try and farm more ads off of me. You make me fucking sick, Irish Star. We'll see what comes from it. P. Diddy's lawyer hasn't spoke on it yet. He's still too busy fighting on the front lines about the baby oil stuff, so we'll have to wait to see what Mark says. I'm sure Mark will dismiss it as just people like trying to pounce on Diddy for money. That's the angle I think he's going to try and claim. That's just my guess, based on everything I've seen from Mark, but we'll see. I know Costco responded saying they don't even sell baby oil or whatever. I saw. I don't think anyone's surprised. Mark was just fishing for any kind of logical reason. Like, he was doing his best. He is obligated to defend everything Diddy does and has ever done. Like, even with that video of him beating the shit out of Cassie, Mark defends it as like, well, you need to kind of understand the context. She threw her phone at him. So, I mean, you know, like, you know, like, it's not good. It's not good to beat women, but, I mean, we need to remember, she threw her phone. So, like, it's Mark's job. Of course he's going to defend it. God, that LeBron meme has been around for so long, and for the first time it's actually somewhat applicable with Diddy. How will it affect his legacy? If LeBron is somehow included in these claims, and it's, like, verified, it will actually fucking tarnish his legacy. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. I say that, but then I remember that basketball still celebrates Karl Malone, and he impregnated a 13-year-old. The guy is a rapist, and then they still celebrate him. So maybe it wouldn't, actually. Chat, did Baba Vanga predict this? Oh, we need to check. Yeah, I didn't look at Baba Vanga's predictions to see if they lined up with this. She very well could have. I really do, again, I'll say it again. I really do think Diddy's not going to get Epsteined. I think we'll eventually know the depths of the depravity, and I think we'll know a lot of the celebrities and associates that were engaged. That's my prediction. I don't know who all is going to be implicated beyond, like, the obvious, like Kevin Hart and all that, but I do really think for sure he's not going to get Epsteined. We can only clear one person for certain, 50 Cent. That's the only guy that's innocent. He's been shitting on Diddy for years. Can you imagine, though, if he is actually named in this? That would be... Actually, that name would shock me. That would be one of the few names that would actually shock me.